Welcome to Mysteries Niger. I'm your host, Esther. Do you remember COVID lockdown? Nightmare. Was it a nightmare for you? Because for me, it was unbearable. To be honest, it was unbearable. I just got a very good job, excited about life. I'm on probation, but if I can survive the probation, I get to become permanent employee and my salary would be increased exponentially. I'm so pumped and happy for the future. Boom. Lockdown. Unsure when the lockdown would end, company lays off the new hires. The old hires, old staff were just told to stay home until the quarantine is over. But my dream opportunity at that time in the wind. So it was a very bitter period for me. Everyone's home. We're all stuck with our family members that we love to death. But we really don't want to be stuck with them all day, every day, at home, constantly bickering, fighting. No, we don't want to do that, but we all had to. We're all forced to. Most of us who had no jobs were just trying out TikToks and all the filters and driving ourselves crazy day by day, while others who still had a job had to work from home. Some people started vlogging their daily life, what they do, live streaming themselves sleeping, and most people started their online content creation career during lockdown. Others took to making friends. Like myself, introverts, we're more comfortable and quite easier to make friends online than in person, so most of us took to making friends online, talking to new people. There were also others who were doing something completely different. They were angry at the world, the system, the lockdown, themselves, everyone basically. And they did not shy away from telling the whole world how they felt. Many people earned their online sleuthing badges during that period. Some became trolls during that period. But what was unexpected was that one of those people who had the liberty and the privilege and the safety of typing up words from the safety of their haven, coven, wherever it is, and posting it online would end up changing someone else's life completely. Today's case is one that has to be treated very carefully because it heavily talks about the Nigerian authorities and how they handle their jobs and their duties to the public, and also about two victims who were completely unrelated to each other but ended up becoming victims in the same story, victims in their own rights. As someone with no legal background or anything, I will try my best to carefully present this case to you without hurting or defaming or adding insult to any person's injury. I will try my best to present this case as appropriate, as respectful as possible. How severe was the lockdown where you live? Was it that you could come out to your front yard, your lawn, or your backyard, have a barbecue, do whatever you want, but just don't leave your property? Or was it that you could take a walk around the neighborhood, just keep distance? Or was it that you could go around your small town, but you can't wander far away? During your little trip around the town, there would be so many police checkpoints where they bring the scanner up to your forehead to check your temperature if you have a high fever or if you're totally fine. Where I quarantined, it was a lost. You can move around your town, but you can't go too far. You can take a tuk-tuk from one spot to the other, but not too far away. And in that tiny little trip, you will have to go through so many checkpoints where you get beeped and you tell them why you're out of your house or you should be quarantining and you should be on lockdown. And you also have to tell them why it's imperative that you have to be out. Otherwise, go back home. And you might even get in trouble for being out when you should be at home. I believe this is how the quarantine was also in other locations in Nigeria because I experienced a lockdown in Nigeria. So today's case is about a young girl aged 22, a student of UNIBEN, which is short for University of Benin in Edo State in Nigeria. She was home with her family as well during the lockdown. The rest of the family, everyone was cooped at home. Now, if you're a student and you're away from school for a few weeks, a couple of months, you could start to forget your lessons or your study. You can start to forget everything you've learned so far that year. So one way to keep your mind together and keep all the information you've worked hard to learn is to keep on studying, even though you're not reporting to school, even though no teacher is telling you to do so, but because you don't want to forget the things you've learned, you keep studying. That's what she decided to do during the lockdown. One thing she does, even before the lockdown, is she likes to study in a quiet place. Probably because she felt or believed, or maybe realistically, her home wasn't as quiet as she needed it to be. She would find other places that's quiet enough to give her that serenity, to get her in the flow, to study and retain the information. She realized her church was one good spot for her to study. So for the last 3 years before the lockdown, according to reports, she should go to her church named Redeemed Church. She'd go there and study. On the 27th of May 2020, the thick of lockdown, she leaves her home, she goes to the church, she meets with the security of the church according to the neighbors close to the church. She meets with the security worker of the church. He hands her the key to the church hall where the service takes place, where the sermons are held every Sunday and every other day. He hands her the key. She opens it, walks in, sits, and starts to study. A few hours go by. The security guy realizes, I haven't heard any movements or even seen the girl. I didn't see her leave. She didn't return the key to me. It's been a few hours. What's going on? So he starts looking for her. Eventually, the girl was discovered in the church hall. She was unconscious, bloodied, badly beaten, and there was a fire extinguisher next to her, or close to her. It was obvious she had been brutally attacked, assaulted, and also struck with the fire extinguisher. She was unconscious. She was rushed to the hospital. She was on life support, and 3 days later, on the 30th of May 2020, she was pronounced dead at the hospital. The news got out. Everyone was upset. There were hashtags of justice for her. Her news spread. People were riled up. People were agitated. People were angry. Everyone was upset. How can this happen in a place of worship, in a church? Someone posts about this girl on Facebook and the insidious crime that's been committed against her, to her. And a young man with the handle of Levinus Elam decided, what good is my life if I'm not a scum? So behind the safety of his room or wherever it was, these are my choice of words. This is what I want to say to a victim, to the family, to the public, to anyone who comes across my comment. This is how despicable I am. So he types out, quote, good for her. Why will she be dating 2 roommates the same time? People got upset. Everyone got angry. Someone replied to his comment, I don't understand what you said. Another responded, are you okay? Or you need emergency brain therapy? People were so angry. They kept talking about this guy. Why would he say this? This comment is strange. What is this? After receiving so much heat, he deletes his handle entirely. He deletes his Facebook profile. People keep reporting, reposting, because screenshots been taken and everything. Eventually, the police were alerted. They have to look into this guy. His comment is very clear that he knows something. Why was she dating 2 roommates at the same time? You don't say that if you don't know something. Look for this guy. He will help you crack this case. He will help you solve this case. The police and the investigators eventually got their hands on the profile picture of the commenter, the Facebook user who left the comment. They looked at the picture. Let me describe it. He has a low-cut hairstyle, thick eyebrows, a beard, wears a white t-shirt, dark brown or navy, could possibly be black even, blazer. The picture is 1 pixel. The color of the blazer isn't so clear. It could be a suit, it could be just a blazer, but we have just the upper torso profile. And in the background, you can see gate, you can see a vehicle behind him, and there is a house in front of him. He's facing a house, and you can see the reflection of the house on the windscreen of the car behind him. He has a smile on his face. The camera is slightly tilted. This picture is what the police get their hands on. They decide to look for the person in the picture. Eventually, they find themselves a young man that they believed was the young man in the picture. He was arrested, taken to jail, and his life was about to change. The police had a picture of a commenter named Levinus Elim, and they ended up arresting a young man named Theodore Sunday on the belief that Theodore was the man in the photo. Before I introduce you to the people involved in today's case, I would like to mention that about 80% of today's case is based on Theodore's retelling of everything. He has a book that he wrote on the case. I didn't get around to read the book because he sat for an interview and he basically said everything as it happened from the beginning to the end. He says that's exactly what you're going to read in the book. So since I'm already hearing it from him, I didn't think I had to read the book itself to also get the same information. I could read it and misinterpret it or misunderstand it, so I decided to base today's case mostly on his retelling, and the case will be retold from his perspective. So any other thing that's not his retelling of the story, I will make it vividly clear. Uwaila Omozuwa was a 22-year-old girl who was a microbiology student of Uniben and was a 100 level student, which is year 1 student. So she went to church to study, like I mentioned earlier, and she was attacked by a group of 5 men who walked into the church, sexually assaulted her, physically, violently assaulted her, and then struck her with a fire extinguisher. She lost consciousness and they ran away. When they ran away, one of them took her phone, her mobile phone, left with it, and eventually she was discovered. She was taken to the hospital. They tried everything to save her, but eventually she was lost. Her family was devastated because she was a bright young woman who was described by family to be quiet, hardworking, academically focused, and deeply religious. To realize that the one place she felt she would be the safest in a place of worship was the one place that she was unsafe. Not because the people directly tied to the church made it unsafe for her, but because there were evil beings, evil souls who were out for her. And regardless of where she would have been, we can't tell if the same incident would have happened if she were to be anywhere else on that day. The whole of Nigeria hear of the case, circulating online. Levinus Elim leaves a comment. The investigators get their hands on his profile image. They go looking for him. They ask questions. They get their hands on his phone number, so they know this is his phone number. How did they know? I don't know. IT guys, computer geniuses. Once they got his number, they started to go through his call log history to see who he's been in contact with the most. And this is occurring to Theodore. Remember, I said I'm going to be telling the case from Theodore's perspective. According to Theodore's retelling, they checked his call log history to see who he's been in contact with, because through your call logs, they can tell who's close to you, who is not close to you based off of how many times you reach out to them. When they checked his call log, the Levinus guy, or whoever it is that was presumed to be the person, they realized that there was a particular number that he called a lot recently. They decided, since he's been in contact with this person frequently recently, this person must know about his whereabouts because he's been in contact with this person. So we have to figure out who this person is and then go find this person. And through this new person, we're going to find our initial target. They checked who the other number belonged to, and it was a number of a woman. So they thought, okay, he's been in contact with this woman. Let's go looking for this woman. So they went looking for her. They found her and they took her to the station. After an hour or so, her husband was like, "Where's my wife? I know she went on an errand, but she should have been back like a few minutes. I need to go look for my wife." He went looking for his wife. He too vanished. Another hour goes by, and the auntie's nephew, who was with them, was like, "What's happening?" First, my auntie went away and she was supposed to be gone for a few minutes, and an hour later, she wasn't back. The husband went looking for her, and now an hour is gone as well. An hour's passed by. My uncle isn't back as well. He goes looking for them as well. So he's thinking, I can't leave though. I should look for them, but I can't leave, so I'm gonna wait and see what's going on. A while goes by and he gets a call from his auntie. I think the auntie or the uncle. And they told him, come see us at this particular spot. He goes and he gets arrested. This is Theodore. The police went looking for Levinus LM. But when they found his number, checked who he was recently in contact with, they realized he was recently speaking frequently with Theodore's auntie. They went looking for Theodore's auntie. Turns out Theodore's auntie had a phone accessory business. She sold phones, chargers, batteries, things of that nature. And whoever this number belonged to was believed to be the same person in the profile picture. And he was in touch with Theodore's auntie. They go there. Theodore's auntie has the business, like I mentioned. During the COVID lockdown, she was selling the goods out of the trunk of their car. So instead of opening up their shop where they have their goods fully displayed, they would load up stuff in the back of the trunk, drive out a little, and people would walk over to them and peruse whatever they have in the trunk and sell out of the trunk of the car. The auntie gets a call pertaining to their business. She's about to go meet the person. The husband, Theodore's uncle, looks over to her and says, my wife, don't go anywhere with any strange man, okay? And the wife turns to him. Why would I go anywhere with anyone? And they both smiled at each other. And Theodore laughs. It's so embarrassing. They're still so lovey-dovey. And the auntie walks away. Lovely, beautiful day. Theodore's wearing shorts and a shirt. Summer. It's hot. You want to wear something light, something breathable. The aunt leaves. An hour later, the husband's like, my wife should have been back a few minutes ago. How come she's not back? Theodore, hold the fort. I'll be back. Look after the other girls helping us sell the goods as well. The uncle goes looking for his wife. The uncle isn't back as well. After a while, Theodore gets a call. He's thinking, oh, they're calling me. Maybe they went to meet the other person for the business and they must have received some money, and maybe they want to send me on an errand, because prior to that time, they would send him to go pick up more goods, to stock up their products or to go to the bank and deposit the money for them. So he's thinking maybe they want to send me on an errand. He calls them and they tell him, come to the spot and see us. He leaves the goods with the other girl, goes to meet the auntie. He spots 3 men up ahead and they're men in uniform. The shirt says SARS. SARS in caps, which stands for Special Anti-Robbery Squad. It's a very controversial branch of the Nigerian police force, which was established in 1992. When the force was created, it was initially for the combating of violent crimes like armed robbery and kidnapping, but eventually, over time, the unit became widely notorious for being heavy on the severe human rights abuse, which includes torture, unlawful arrests, and extortions. At the end of the day, it's a controversy based off of some people's opinions and alleged experiences. So there's that. So he sees 3 officers in SARS uniform. They all have guns with them. His uncle sees him coming and points at him. The officers approached him. They grabbed him, told him he's under arrest. He's frantic. Why? What did I do? What am I being arrested for? And he said before he realized that his short was torn, his underwears were almost fully exposed, and he looked battered up. Was he beaten up? Was it a result of a struggle? He didn't clarify, so I'm not going to speculate. He gets into the car. He gets taken to the police station. When he arrived there, he keeps asking, what did I do? Why am I here? What did I do? When he looked around, the police officers at the station were jubilating. They were happy. This is a win for us. We arrested the commenter. And he said he could hear them saying to each other, that's the guy that posted the comment. That's the guy who wrote the comment. And he's thinking, what comment? What comment? Asked one of the officers, what am I here for? Why am I arrested? He brings out the picture. Remember the profile picture? He brings it out, shows it to Theodore and asks him, is this you? Theodore says, no, that's not me. Look again. Look properly. This isn't you. No, it's not me. This guy doesn't look like me at all. And his sense of style is different from mine. He's wearing a chain necklace. I don't wear that. I feel a bit uncomfortable in it. His sense of style is not my style. He doesn't look like me at all. I'm sure that's not me. He gets taken to see the officials, the police big bosses, and he's taken to one of the offices upstairs at the station. The picture was passed around. Is this him? Is he the guy in the picture? One person would say, yes, it's him. Another would say, no, it's not him. One would say, the guy in the picture is a bit chubbier. He's a bit on the heavier side than this guy. This guy is thinner than him. So I don't think it's the same person. I think these are two completely different people. And the picture would be passed to someone else, and the person would look at it and say, I think it's the same person. He looks a little bigger in the photo because of lens distortion. Yes, that's it. Lens distortion. He looks bigger in the photo, but to me, same person. Another will look at it and go, is it the same person? Is it not the same person? What he said. Yeah, that's my answer. But one person's answer was the only answer that mattered. And it was the answer of the IPO. He's the big boss calling the shots. The photo is passed to him. He looks at the photo and then looks at Theodore. He looks back at the photo and he looks at Theodore. It's the same guy. He's the one in the photo. And that sealed the case. If he had said, no, these are two different people, everything would have ended there. They'd go back to looking for the commenter. But the minute he confirmed, according to Theodore, that he was the one in the photo, things moved to the next phase. He's held at the police. His family show up. They're all concerned about him. What's going on? What's happening? He's confused. He doesn't know what's happening. Like, I didn't do anything. I'm here on suspicion of leaving a comment online. I didn't do it. I have a Facebook account. I have two actually. And they asked me. I told them, yes, I have a Facebook account. 2. I gave them the login, password, and username. They went through it. Nothing. No comment like that. And I was also told your other handle that posted the comment was deleted. The comment didn't come from me. The parishioner that he was a member of came to visit him because the man believed himself to know Theodore's character so clearly. So he came, he spoke to Theodore. Even students from his school all showed their support and their solidarity to his cause that he must be innocent. There is absolutely no way he would leave a despicable comment like that. He's not the type of person that would do that. They all vouched. After the IPO confirmed that he was the person in the photo, he had to write his statement. He had his hands cuffed at the front. So he was told to write a statement. He told them, okay, can you get the cuffs off me so I can write my statement? I will not even write that until my lawyer arrives. I'm not doing anything else that might incriminate me later because I know right now I'm innocent. I don't want anything to be misinterpreted or misunderstood where I end up being suspicious or guilty of something. So I need my lawyer to show up. I'll write the statement. They wait for a while for his lawyer to arrive so he could write the statement. It took some time. Eventually he told them, okay, fine, I'll write the statement. The officer told him, give us a minute. We can't find the key to your cuffs. So give us some time. We're looking for it. After a while, he was like, found it. He was uncuffed. Then he wrote his statement. After writing his statement, he was taken to the jail cell. When he got there, he said, oh my God, that's when he started to hit him. That the prison jail or the jail cell or prison wasn't a place he ever wanted to be, but he had faith in God. God was going to come through for him. But he also mentioned that when he got to the jail cell, the room was so tiny that wouldn't even fit anyone or a small number of people comfortably, but the cell had about 40 inmates or suspects in that tiny cell, and it was so crammed that you couldn't sit with your legs stretched out comfortably. So you sit with your legs folded in front of you, right up your chest in a comforting position, which will eventually hurt your knees and your ankle. You sit that way all day, every day, and you cannot stand to stretch your legs without the big boss of the cell telling you could do so. So inside the cell, the people who's been there the longest take up the leadership of that cell, that particular cell unit. The people who's been there the longest, they take charge. outrage. Anyone who comes later, you do as they tell you. So the only naturally approved position for you to be in that cell unit is to sit on the floor with your legs folded up to your chest, and you can't stretch your legs, and you never dare stand up. You don't speak to anyone unless you're spoken to. If you're being spoken to by the big boss who's ruling over the unit and you're not speaking up clear enough or loud enough, he would just order some people to beat you up. They'll beat you up mercilessly, and then he would ask you the question again, and you better speak loud enough. But it doesn't end there. Once you arrive, you're being presented to the boss, who's gonna tell you, you have to pay an entrance fee of 14,000, and you have to pay for another charge of 10,000, I think, for freedom to stretch your legs or something. And after you pay that fee, you become one of the quote VIP inmates in the unit, where you can stand to stretch your legs, or you can sit and have your legs stretched out. And the people who couldn't pay that fee have to make sure that they make room for you to spread your legs, because you paid for that luxury. And the guy who's controlling this unit, according to Theodore, was a very young guy, but he was one of the people who's been there the longest. He explains why these prison gang or prison group in that unit were asking for money. According to him, the government provide for the feeding of the suspects and the inmates who are being held at the cell units and the prison there. But people in charge of running the prison cells and the jail cells are not really concerned about feeding the inmates. So they are left to fend for themselves. They have to be able to afford buying food and paying for some meals one way or the other. So this gang of prisoners, of inmates in that cell unit, they would ask the new people who are arriving new to pay the entrance fee and the other charges, and it's a total of 24,000. And that money would in turn be used to pay for food and for underwear for the others who's been there the longest without money for food or for underwear or anything. And that is because the people there the longest, at that point, their families probably over the case, they've moved on, they're forgotten in cell or at the station. No one comes to visit them anymore. So if the facility is not taking care of them, then they're on their own. So they need money to be able to afford underwear, food, and water and stuff like that. And also because those who are just arriving newly, their family is like really worried. They're worried and concerned about them because it just arrived. So the family would always visit. So they'll tell you, ask them for money so you can give it to us, or you're gonna get beaten up. He arrives that night. They tell him, you're gonna have to give us money. They ask him questions, why he's there, what's going on. And he said prior to that time, he couldn't really speak pidgin English. He was more fluent in his local dialect of Igbo and some English. Meanwhile, the guys in the prison were speaking very fluent pidgin. With people who speak very thick pidgin, if they're speaking to you in pidgin, best believe it, they want you to respond in pidgin, not any other language, not English, not any other native language. You have to respond in English, in pidgin with them. Otherwise, they're gonna feel like you feel better than them or you feel superior to them. They could even think it's condescending. So they were asking him questions in pidgin. He responds in English, and they got really upset about that because probably they thought he was condescending. They started to beat him up terribly that night, to the point that someone had to speak up and be like, okay guys, it's enough. You might kill this guy, let him be. The police headquarters was being notified about his arrest. Eventually, the current president of the country at the time declared his interest in the case. The vice president also declared his interest in the case. The church, a pastor from the Redeemed Church where the crime happened, was arrested. Their secretary was arrested as well, and the security worker was also arrested. So all three of them were in prison as the investigation was being carried out. The police officers from the headquarters in Abuja were sent to, some of them were sent to Benin to look into the case and speak to everyone involved. There were also 2 suspects who were arrested over suspicions of them being involved in the crime itself. Remember earlier I mentioned there were 5 perpetrators, or according to Theodore, were about 5 perpetrators involved in the case. 2 were arrested and the other 3 had fled. officers from Abuja came over, Theodore was being handed over to the officers. He says he remembers being taken to a cell with others. Then he was being taken out to the truck outside. There were two other guys with him. They were blindfolded, put into the car. The only way he knew there were two other people in the car with him was because they kept calling out their names, and he heard his name and he heard two other names as well. So he knew, okay, there were three in this vehicle with the officers. They were taken somewhere. He believes it was underground, but I don't know. He was blindfolded. I don't know if it was underground or it was a warehouse that felt musky and grim. I don't know. So they were taken somewhere. And he said they were beaten and tortured for a while. While he was being tortured, they would tell him to confess that he was the guy who left the comment. He kept insisting he didn't leave any comments and he wasn't the guy in the photo. He said his hands were handcuffed to his back. He was made to lie on his back and lift his legs up, and his entire body weight is on his hands that are being handcuffed behind his back, and the cuffs are digging into his skin, his back, and everywhere, hurting his wrist. And he was being questioned and questioned and questioned, and he kept telling them, it's not me, I'm not the one you're looking for. Eventually they decided, you know what, let's switch up the tactic. He said he was being beaten up as well. He was flogged. That still didn't produce the answer he believes they were looking for. So he heard one of them say, let's hang him upside down. That will make him talk. But ultimately he said he wasn't being hanged upside down, thank God, but that other forms of tortures were being carried out. That was on his 10th day in police custody. He's been taken back into his cell unit. At this time, the leader and his goons in the units, they're friendly with him, super friendly with him. When others are unable to pay the fee and the entrance fee and stuff, and they're suffering because they can't stretch, they're hurting, he would even advocate for the others. Please, can you let him sit up a little? Can you let him stand and stretch his legs? And the reason he was able to whisper into the leader's ear was because he said his first 3 days in cell, he just cried all night. He would just sit up all night and cry. His family started coming to visit. His church parishioner came visiting. People started coming to visit him and trying to help him. And every time they'd come, they'd bring food, they'd bring him some money, clothes, and stuff like that. He couldn't eat. For 5 days, he had no appetite. He didn't eat or drink anything. He just cried. So, leader of the unit and his goons, they would finish the meals. If he could only have a bite, the rest he'd just hand it to the leader. So, the leader was getting benefits of food and fresh clothes that he was being brought, underwear, even the money he was receiving. So, he was able to tell him, oh, can you give this person a little bit of grace? Can you let this person stretch a little and stuff like that? So for 5 days after he's back from the torture, he says his hands are still being cuffed to his back. His wrists are swollen, fingers and palm, it's all swollen. The cuffs are getting super tight now because of the swellness. His whole body was hurting from his hands being cuffed to his back. He was put back into the unit. For 5 days, no one came. No police visit, no interrogation, nothing. He was just back in there for 5 days. He was dying from the pain. Imagine being cuffed for 5 days. After 5 days, some of the police officers needed to take an inmate to court. He was being indicted for a trial. They needed to take him to court. So they looked for their cuffs and they're like, we're out of cuffs. There's one cuff missing. Where is the cuff? And that's where someone was like, oh, it's the Theodore guy. It's the Theodore guy, the one with the big guns from Abuja. Yeah. Last time he was taken out, they cuffed him and he was still in cuffs. I think he's still in cuffs. So go look there. You'll find your cuffs there. That's how he was able to lose the cuffs, because they needed it and they came for it. Soon enough, he was transported from the station in Benin to Abuja. It was a much bigger station, the headquarters, and the whole policy there, the politics there was different, needed getting used to. He got assigned his unit. When he got in there, he was told there was a guy in the same hall as them that was called Lucifer. Now, according to his description, there are duplexes around that forms a circle, and then the main jail unit or prison unit is in the center. The duplexes around are where the officers are. The duplex in the middle is where the facility that holds the inmates is, and it has like balcony, it has a lobby. You can buy fresh clothes, you can can buy food, you can play games with friends, sing. Just it felt like it's a big family unit where everyone's living together. The units didn't really feel like prison cells, but like shared rooms with friends. Not that you have amenities or anything. You don't have amenities. It still looks like a prison cell. But compared to where he came from, this was much better. And he said the officers at the Abuja station were very respectful. They did their job and they treated them a bit more like humans compared to where he came from, where you were left to stay in cell in just nothing but your underwear. At the Abuja station, they could wear proper clothes. If you had money to buy new and fresh looking clothes, you could do so. And nobody at any of the units would ask you for money or take money from you that's been given by your family or friends or supporters. Just like the old cell had like the leader in the unit, here there was a leader that controlled the entire prison conglomerate as a whole, where every inmate in that facility knew that there was one guy that was like the VIP inmate. According to Theodore, his unit was a single occupancy. He didn't share with anyone. It was fully decked out. It felt like the Four Seasons. Bed, amenities, comfortable. The guy was openly operating a business in prison where he would sell groceries, hygiene supply, bars of soap, things of that nature. And if you ever had to get in his room, his cell unit, you'd have to pay him enough money to convince him to let you enjoy even the chill air in his room. He learns on his first night there's what everyone calls the VIP inmate, and there's another guy that everyone calls Lucifer, because he likes to dabble with some dark stuff. So with that, he's spooked. Theodore is fearful. He's like, I'm going to turn to the only person I know, God. He tells them, I'm going to pray and I'm going to fast for 3 days, dry, no water, no food. Anyone who wants to join me can join me. But I think we need to pray and fast if we are to survive this place. He's spooked. But he's thinking, how hard can it be? Let's see. This is way better than where I came from. So let's see how bad this place can get. That first night, everyone's trying to, wind down, try to get some sleep. But the guy called Lucifer in jail starts incanting. Everyone's feeling spiritually spooked. Theodore said he could feel the whole place trembling spiritually. The energy was so dark. The next day, bright and early, Theodore tells everyone, let's pray and fast. If we're to survive this place and have our cases resolved so we can leave here, we have to turn to the only person we can trust, God. So they start to pray and fast for 3 days. Some of them who weren't able to fast dry, because he said, let's do dry fasting. No water, no food for 3 days. Joseph did it. Queen Esther did it. Why can't I do it? Why can't we do it? So let's do it. Some who were unable to do dry fasting for 3 days for certain reasons like health or age, they would do from 6 to 6. So from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. While others went fully dry, nothing, food or water for 3 days. He said, at this Abuja station, the facility, he quickly learned that there were 2 of the suspects. Remember the 2 earlier suspects in the case of Uwaila that I told you were arrested? He learned that 2 of them were there. They were telling everyone that they did nothing wrong. They were wrongfully arrested or wrongfully accused, that they did nothing to hurt the girl. They were not even in connection to the crime. Just after the 3rd day of his fasting with the others, the very next day after the 3 days fasting, one of the suspects named Collins came to him. I'd like to confess to something. He knew who Collins was and why he was there. So he said, okay, you want to confess about what? About what happened to Uwaila? Okay, my God is at work. Let's go to the front desk. So they went to the front desk. He told who was working the front desk, Collins wants to confess. And he said, the officer who was working the front desk started cussing them out, saying, get away from here, you stupid people, stupid thieves, stupid criminals. Get away from here. His feelings were really hurt because that was unmerited, unwarranted, and he just came to get this guy to confess because it would let a lot of people off the hook, like himself, the 3 church members who were arrested, the security officer, the secretary, and the pastor of the church. It would get them all off the hook. Now he's hurt, he's sad, and he's thinking to himself, if my prayer to God has softened this person's mind and they want to finally confess, why drive us away? You should listen. So he said they're walking taken back to their cell holdings. And there was another woman who was also working the front desk as well. She was above the first guy in position. So she called them over and was like, what was it you said to him? And he told the lady Collins wanted to confess and said, okay, I'll get it set up. Collins requested for someone in particular, one of the higher up officials, and said he wanted to confess to that person in particular because according to Theodore, that particular official was the kindest, was a very good person, a very good man, a generous man with a kind heart. He would treat them like humans, buy them food, even while investigating them or interrogating them. So he knew if anyone was going to handle him with some mercy while he confessed, it would be that particular officer. So Collins requested for that particular officer. It was set up. Collins eventually went up, confessed to the crime. He was taken to one of the interrogation rooms. The cameras were set up. He confessed. Then he was sent back to his unit. So when he returned to his unit, everyone was curious. Come on, tell us what happened. What happened? What did you say up there? What did you tell them? So Collins told them what he confessed to the officers at the interrogation room. What Theodore recounts as Collins' confession was there were people who wanted to hurt Uwaila for whatever reason. But according to Theodore, this Collins guy said they were told if they could get blood from her private area, they would be paid a huge amount of money, and they would also be sponsored to travel abroad to some other country, and they would get to leave Nigeria and possibly have better life opportunities. So they should find Uwaila, attack her, they would get paid. And they wanted the blood from her private area, probably because as of the time of the incident, Uwaila was said to be a virgin. There are so many nefarious, dark powers, dark activities where people do ritual-wise that specifically requests for people of that moral standing where they're untouched sexually. So Theodore said Collins was told by this person, Collins and his co-conspirators and suspects, that they needed to do that and they would get paid. So they went, carried out the nefarious act of taking a precious life. Once they were done, the money for the act was being paid to one of them who probably called the shots in the group. But that person and another of the group members decided to skedaddle with the money, rip everyone off. 5 people are being hired to hurt Uwaila. They end up being paid. Money is being paid to one of them, who's probably the boss of the group, and he's supposed to in turn split the money and pay the other 4. But instead, the one with the money and one other member, who's probably the closest to him, they run away with the money, leaving the other 3 with nothing. Collins decided, okay, you guys left without paying me my share of the money? Well, newsflash, I took her phone. I'm going to resell the phone and I'll get some money. Joke's on you. He starts looking for someone to sell Uwaila's phone to. He finds someone who was willing to pay 17,000 naira for Uwaila's phone. When this case was being investigated, investigators realized her phone was missing. They found the box, the packaging. They got the serial number of the device and they tracked it to another man who had purchased Uwaila's phone from Collins. The police asked him, where did you get this phone? He said, I bought it. Who did you buy it from? I bought the phone. How much did you buy it for? 36,000. From whom? I don't remember. Eventually, he said the truth. Okay, I bought the phone from Collins for 17,000. So now Collins is being visited. He takes the police to Collins' place. The police asked Collins, do you know this guy? Collins says, no. Did you sell him a phone? No. Well, he has a phone that he claims he bought from you for 17,000. What do you say about that? I sold the phone, but it wasn't recently. It was last year. Yeah, I sold the phone last year. Vividly last year. And it wasn't for 17,000 like he's claiming. It was for 36,000. The phone I sold last year was for 36,000. Where can you find a phone for 17,000? Not me. Wrong guy. I mean, at that point, they're just burying themselves deep. If the phone is being tracked through the device's serial number and you have it in your hand, and the receipts and everything else shows that this phone belongs to a victim who was brutally attacked, come on. The buyer and the seller of the phones sitting in jail cell. The second suspect, by the name of Valentine, probably was born on Valentine's Day, also arrested, sitting in jail, and they were questioned. The other guy was just a buyer, wasn't said to be involved in the crime, so just Collins and Valentine. They questioned about the other three, and they knew exactly where the other three were hiding. So they just told the police, yeah, fine, we don't care about them anymore, so go here, you'll find them. The police went. They tried to arrest them. 2 out of 3, they escaped the police arrest again. And the third guy was almost arrested, but the mom saw the police first. You know, when they walked to the door to arrest him, the mom noticed the police first, alerted the son. The son jumped out, escaped, so the police arrested the mom instead, and to be held until the son shows himself and exchanges himself for his mom's release. Valentine's and Collins still in prison. Once Collins confessed to this, everyone was so upset at Collins and Valentine's, but Valentine's kept, according to Theodore, he kept up with his answer of he's not guilty, he's not involved, and he has no idea what Collins is saying. The police did their investigations. They were able to get DNA samples from Uwaila, like bodily fluid, so they got swabs done on Collins and Valentine. They also got their sperm samples, and all of those were sent for forensic analysis. This is where the suspect's case is separated from Theodore's case, because after the confession by Collins, the 3 church members were all released. Theodore was still held in prison because, again, he wasn't being arrested as a suspect or a perpetrator. He was being held as an internet defamationist, so he was still in prison regardless. His family and the big guy in the facility, remember the VIP inmate, eventually his prayers started opening ways for him. The VIP inmate ended up inviting him to his unit, told him, I heard about your prayers and how your prayers is helping others with their cases. A few people have been released since you got here and you prayed and fasted with them. I feel like my case is coming up soon and I don't want anything to get in the way of it. I want you to pray for me and I will give you some benefits. I have a few mobile devices. The officers obviously don't know I have it. You can use it whenever you want, but not during the day. Wait till nighttime. When it's light out, then you can use it. So he got the phone. He called his brother, one of his brothers, because he's the 4th son. He called one of his brothers. He ended up speaking to the parishioner, and eventually he got a lawyer. This is all within a few months. So the lawyer came, and he was a very good attorney. He took up his case, worked hard at it, worked really, really hard on getting him released, and eventually his release was at hand. Not that his case was released or dropped, but he was out on bail, so his bail was paid. The condition for him getting bail was that he wasn't going to return back to Benin. He was going to remain in Abuja for a few weeks because the case of the murder of Uwaila was about to get to court. The police didn't want the victim's family to feel like the perpetrators were all released, because technically Theodore's only connection to the case was the online comment, but the police thought if he's back in Benin and the victim's family saw him, they would think the actual suspects were also released as well. So he had to remain in Abuja for a few weeks. When he was there, his parishioner and all his supporters, they came together to make sure he was comfortable. He ended up having a computer set up for him, and he started on his book. He started typing it out, because while he was in prison, he was always requesting for books, notebooks, paper sheets, and he was documenting his experiences daily, and that was his first manuscript. And once he was out on bail and the computer was set up, he started to type out his first book about his experience so far. Just before September, he was told he could go back to Benin. It was now safe for him to return to Benin. So he went to Benin, and on the 1st of September, he got a call from the same police station where he was initially held before he was transferred to Abuja. They told him, well, we still have some of your stuff here. We have your phone and some of your money, so can you come get it? So he said, okay. I'm gonna come pick up my stuff. Thank you for calling. But so far, he felt like he didn't have the best experience there the last time he was there. So he didn't want to do anything on his own. So he immediately called his lawyer. They called me. I should come get my phone. What do I do? So the lawyer told him, don't go. You might get rearrested. Don't go. Wait for me to show up. So he waited. His lawyer showed up. A few people showed up as well, and they went there together because he said his lawyer's belief was probably the state police were thinking that the Abuja police were not super invested in the case and probably just let him off easy, or that they were bribed by someone to release him. So they wanted him to get rearrested in Benin so he could eventually end up in court. According to Theodore, he ended up going with his lawyer and a few others. And he said when he got there, the officers were caught off guard. They were surprised that he came with all these backups because they were really prepared to arrest him again. So he said they tried pulling some strings, they tried playing with their heads, pulling stuff out from thin air as reasons to detain him. The lawyer was like, look at me, I'm in my lawyer outfit. What are you doing? So ultimately, according to Theodore, they just ended up telling him, we have a few of the court papers and documents that we need to print out. So can you pay us 70,000 naira or 75,000 or so? Let's go print it out. We need to print all these documents from the case filings. And the lawyer was like, how much documents do you have to print for you to request 75,000? Besides, that's the government's money to pay, not my client. Soon enough, he was taken to court while still in school. And did I mention Theodore was a student himself at the same school as Uwaila. He was in level 200. Uwaila was in level 100. So he was second year. He had one of his term exams on the same day as his first court hearing. So he had to rush to school, quickly sit for the exam for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then hurried to the court. When he got there, he realized the court was adjourned for the day because he wasn't there on time. It was a whole huge battle of him trying to juggle school and court trials. After about 3 years of battle, the court found him not guilty of any defamatory comments made online or all the other minute charges. With that, Theodore was able to have his name cleared that he had no involvement or connection to the comment at all. As of right now, the sentencing for the perpetrators haven't been out yet, so we're still waiting. As mentioned earlier, police had arrested a few people that were suspected to be connected to the case and stated that forensic and investigative findings linked them to the crime. However, public reporting on the final judicial outcome later became limited and inconsistent, so I can't tell you who was punished and who wasn't. This case made Theodore, who was an English major student, after graduating, decided to go back to school and study law. He is currently studying law to become a lawyer, and he has published a book on his experience with this case. And the family of Uwaila have been left with this pain, this gap in their life and their heart. You can never fully understand unless you experience it, and I pray none of us ever get to experience that sort of gravity of loss. What makes this case feel so disturbing, especially to me, is first of all, the location of the incident. How can such a gruesome crime happen inside of a church? Nigerians are very spiritual people, very religious people. One of the places that most religious believers feel the safest and most closest to. So how can you do that? Go in there and choose to end someone's life. And not that she was there for any nefarious reason. She wasn't partying or engaging in risky behavior. She was studying at one of the places she believed would be the safest. And that's one detail that intensified public anger, because most people felt if someone isn't safe doing something this ordinary in a place believed to be this holy, then who is safe and where is safe? Also, don't forget the brutality of the situation. And don't forget the brutality. Why? Uwaila Omozuwa's death devastated the country. A young woman entered a church to study and never came home. That tragedy alone was enough to spark outrage. But outrage sometimes, most times, changes the atmosphere around an investigation. Everyone wants answers. Police faces pressure. The internet begins searching for villains. And sometimes, most times, that rush to find proof, to find certainty, turns fragments into certainty. If Theodore Sunday was truly wrongly detained, which according to him in his interview, he says the court found him not guilty of his charges, that would mean he was wrongly detained. Then this case becomes more than a story about one terrible crime. It becomes a story about two different crimes who are so intertwined in ways that naturally we would never find the connection. Naturally, we would never be able to imagine such a situation. This is where I leave you on today's case. Let me know which case you'd like for me to talk about next time. You know the drill. Live and let live. Please live and let live. It's not difficult. It really isn't. Be your brother's keeper. Stay safe. Stay sharp. And remember, evil doesn't always look like evil. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.